Astrazeneca, and I think the topic is written here. So if you can start introducing yourself on the topic, please. Thank you so much, Jose.
Perfect. Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you guys about our experience here in the organization for the platform that we've developed over the past few years. So just to get started, so Astrazeneca is an innovation pharmaceutical company that has been launching new molecules to the market for millions of patients in respiratory, cardiovascular, oncology, and more recently rare diseases and vaccine, which is probably the one that's most known now. For personally, I've been working in mostly pharma all of my career, and mostly in the finance department. So you will understand from my presentation that I'm not a technical person. So I will be talking to you about more of the business side of it, because I studied economics, so I've been working with data for a long time, but not really, I'm not a programmer. So I'll definitely give you our experience on the change management and what we have built. All right. So to give you a perspective of how we started, this was 3 years ago. The organization understood that we didn't have the right level of control and knowledge on when it comes to sales. So I wanted to bring this picture here because I thought it represented our different departments that were all scattered. The information was scattered. Every department had its own interpretation of what was the performance, different levels of knowledge and information, because some department looked at it at this level, then the other one went down to another level, but things didn't match. And to be honest, it was quite frustrating that the beginning of any discussion when it came to sales was discussing the numbers. Which is absolutely wrong. We shouldn't be spending time discussing numbers are numbers. You know, we should be having a common set of data, and then we discuss the impact of it. We discuss the insights and what actions to take on it. So the idea was to build a data factory that would combine all of this information, and that's what we built. So we started with something very basic. We approached our distributors in the region. So in the GCC, we approach them. These distributors is who we work with in terms of sales, for them to give us the right data. So this project that I'm talking to you about is right from zero to where we are now. So we went to the basic, which is starting with the data. We got the details that we needed from our partners. From the details that they were giving to the frequency at which they were giving that data, which for us was daily. That's what we required, and that was allowed us to build something. Yes, it was in Excel, but that allowed us to create a source of performance. So that became our source of truth when it came to sales performance, and that is, I think, the biggest challenge is when you bring something that removes the power from the different departments of having their own numbers. So what we brought was someone that was sort of independent, someone that came from the outside and that was doing these calculations without any interest in it other than being accurate. So that was the first change of mindset in the organization. It was no longer working in silos and having that unified approach that is challenging. It's very challengeable. Every month they could challenge the sales, but once we agreed that those numbers were correct, that was it. Any discussion in any meeting would have that as a base, and then decisions could be taken. So that was our first approach to it. It was very crude, but it worked for us in the beginning. But quickly, we realized that when we wanted to scale that up to a GCC level or even just a Gulf level, Excel didn't work for us. We reached the level of the limitations of having an Excel with some pivots. So we understood that we needed a real platform, and for that we started with analyzing what were our needs, because in the beginning we were just looking at, okay, these are our sales, this is the brand account, that was it. So we thought, if we're going to get a platform, then we can expand it. So we went through all of our stakeholders internally in the company and understood what they could bring to the table, what they needed, and what were they doing now, and what could they need in the future, what were they aiming at, so that we could build something that would be that would work for them now, but also in the future. So that was establishing our needs, and that was essential, because there's no point in building something that then will get replaced by something else. You need really to have it clear, at least directionally, what type of tool do you need, what are you going to solve with it. So we did that across the organization, seeing what people were doing manually that we could replace, and what type of data were they using in their decision making. And that gave us a ground on which to build on. And I was very excited to be part of this, because to me, although we have different levels of access in any platform, to me, having a platform that centralizes everything gives a unifying opportunity to the people in the company, because no longer will a sales manager, just because they are in the same role for 5 years, they have all the data with them, someone comes new, they don't have the right data, so they can't perform as well. So this was a unifying opportunity across the organization, and that was very exciting for me to be part of that. So
Jose, if you can just, I don't know why we do not see the slides changing.
Now, yeah, thank you. Now we're changing. So after we had that starting point, we were going to build a platform. So to build that platform, rather than just an Excel, we need at least to have clear a few factors. And those factors, I've highlighted only these 5, but definitely these are essential. One is the data I have mentioned, is getting the right data, right frequency from all of the partners or stakeholders that you're engaging with. The second one is the management endorsement. And that was essential for us, that up to the CEO, the business leaders really saw the value in bringing in data and analysis into the day-to-day basis, and having one platform for it. So especially in this region, it's very important to have that, because otherwise people will not engage with you, will not take your platform that you think it's great, but it will not be received as a source of truth. So you will not be able to go that next step. So you're building something, but people will continue to have a parallel process. So you will not be solving it. You'll be just adding like a second road next to it. So that will not, so you need that management endorsement. So the third thing that I wanted to mention is having the right tech stack. And for that, you need to have the needs very clear. So I'm not a technical person, so I can't really tell you which advantages are for which tech stack, but definitely having the clear the needs for your stakeholders and yourself, and then going searching for a tech stack. And for that, we use the support of our internal IT team and also the vendors, because they are experts on it, so they can tell you what can be done, what cannot, what is the best solution for it, or not. So definitely take that, and then that leads me to the next factor, which is having the right partners. So in partners, this involves all the stakeholders, from any vendor that you need, any infrastructure company for that platform that you need, if it's external data that you're getting. Having the right partners is definitely very important, because they are working with you, and either they adapt to you or you will have to adapt to them. And it's much better if you have, if they can adapt to your needs rather than you having to work around. The last point I wanted to mention here is the team skills and resources. So the resources part is linked to the management endorsement. These things take money and time. So for that, you need manpower and budget. So that endorsement has to have an action. So it's not just words. So I can tell you that our CEO, every town hall quarterly, he mentions how we need to use more this platform, that he uses it every day, and that he expects his managers to make decisions based on that and to use our platform for that. So that endorsement has to come from words, but also from the money and time and people that the team needs to have. So in terms of people, the skills, I can tell you that our team, we're the business side. Commercially, we were knowledgeable, but definitely not technically. So for that, we had an external partner that supported us on. And also, when you're building something like this, you have to bring into your core team the experts from each of the steps that you're integrating. So finding the right people, finding the right sales manager, finding the right person who is doing your FOCs or whatever part of the process that you're integrating, definitely getting the right person who can explain to you the process and is knowledgeable about it is essential. Okay, so this is what we had to do after we got our needs, what we had to do to make it a success. And then as we build it, what were we building? So to me, this is definitely an approach that should be at Agile. And for us, we took it that way. So this slide is just with some examples of what can be done. I can tell you that we've done some and we're developing others. But definitely our approach was Agile in the sense that we didn't build all at once in 1 year. We started with just actual sales. So we proved the concept. We got some budget, we proved the concept, we built a tool that unified the sales across the organization. Okay, so next step, we could bring in the market insights. We could support our supply and demand planning team with the right data and helping them on their forecast. So the sales tracking, Salesforce tracking, we are already doing this. So our sales managers can see every single day how each of their sales reps are performing on the brands that they are promoting, the accounts that they are promoting. So they have those analytics ready every single day. So but we didn't build it all at once. So we started with just one country, and then one function, then you move to more countries, or you move to another function within that country. So you prove that case, that it works, and that as you launch, you definitely get feedback, and that feedback is essential. So if you try to build it all at once, you'll get to the end, and after 1 year of work, you will present it to people, and they will tell you all that is wrong with it, and you'll have to redo it. So if you do that in stages, you definitely benefit from getting that feedback early on. Okay, so we are also integrating our CRM and also our sales forecasting, which for us it's quite important. But all of this data is being brought in, but we are doing this in stages. And also, it's not just one person doing all of this. We found out that we can have different leads for each of these small projects. So we saw it in modules. So we don't need to have the same team for the different modules. Yes, the platform is one, but at the end of the day, we need the right people, the right experts, as I was mentioning before, on each of these segments of the business. So we don't need the whole team to be across the whole platform. So that was a great learning that we've had, and also to get a lot of feedback when we launch each of these. Definitely getting that feedback from the team and integrating what we can, and because the needs that we got at the beginning, the business also changes. So you might think, yes, I have this list of needs that the business has, and we build for that. But the business evolves, so we had to evolve with it. And that's part of the feedback, that as we launch, as we evolve, as we add more features, we're definitely evolving with. So I want to leave time for some questions at the end. So I'll just talk a little bit about how we can all of this project and all of this journey that we've had from starting with basically everything scattered, everything in Excel, each person doing their own calculations for it, and now being able to go to one place. And believe me, this for top management was a dream, because top management is used to having all of these scattered data points and information and feedbacks from different departments. If there is one place where they can get the insights and connecting the different sub-departments together, it adds tremendous value. And I can tell you, just on the sales forecasting and supply demand planning, the ROI we got from this investment is huge, because based on having these processes, we have saved millions in expiries, because we deal with goods that expire in 2-3 years. So whenever a mistake is made at demand planning or sales forecasting, that mistake costs millions. So we have definitely had our investment back on this, because what our platform has brought is not only a change of mindset on who controls the data, but also what is the approach to sharing that data, and how we forecast things, how we share data more actively. And for example, instead of just taking, whenever we do a budget, as a source of when we touch point on how things are, we started doing that monthly. And with that, we increased the quality of our forecasting. And that way, we increased also our supply fulfillment quality. So having data spread across, and people not having to spend time calculating the numbers, definitely free time for the organization to consider improvements rather than just getting the basics done. So that has saved a lot of time in the organization, but definitely enhanced not only our sales, because our sales teams have all the information they could have, but also avoiding errors. So that was, I think, the what we've achieved, and then what we see going forward as an advantage. So the part that is that takes longer is for sure the changing the mindset of the organization. So when I mention ingraining a data culture, that is the part that is person by person. So that takes longer, but it's certainly, I think, the best outcome of having something like this, because you are your people, they have their insights, and that's fine. Their intuition is their knowledge of experience of many years in the region, in this department, in this industry. But we need to have a data culture that supports it. And for that, having a platform that combines everything is definitely something that enhances the people. So, for example, the way I see, for example, our sales reps, They before, like 20 years ago, they used hardly any data. It was the data that they used was basically from medical studies. That's it. So now they have so much more data than they had before, that when they go into a visit, or when they approach an account, they know what is the reality there. So that has, on one side, it creates trust in the data, but also it enhances the people's effectiveness of doing their job. And I can tell you that whenever I presented any of these modules to our teams, they were also always very grateful. And to me, it was strange, because they were thanking me for having developed this, which, it's strange. I come from finance. No one ever thanks me for doing a budget, right? But because the impact of this platform was that they were going to save a lot of time on doing their calculations, and they were really positive about it. So they embraced it. And that's, I think, the first level. The second level is when people have discussions, bringing in the data. And that's the second level. And the senior leaders have a huge impact here, because whenever there's a discussion, they have to always refer to data, bring data points. So you have that insight. Great. You have that intuition that tells you that something is a certain way. Let's get data behind it. So that change is person by person, and some people will get it faster, some people will not get it as fast. But as you give those tools and you support them in, you kind of have to be open to supporting them. Definitely take that journey with everyone, with each person. So on the second point I have here is, if you had asked me 3 years ago, if it was, or even 2, if it was possible for me to have a platform that encompassed so much data, I would have told you no, because I couldn't control that much data. It was impossible. It's too many countries, too many data points coming in. I couldn't. So this point is having data stewards and having your RACI, having your RACI, your responsibilities. So each person has to be responsible for their data, if they are generating the data or if they are checking the data. So that was a mindset change also, that it's not the person that does the report that is responsible for it. You need to have the responsibilities very clear across the organization. So, and this, I think, might be a point that stops a lot of people from advancing into like having big platforms, is that, oh, then I'm going to be responsible for it, and if something goes wrong, then it'll be me. It should be clear from the beginning who is going to be responsible for what, and that definitely is scalable. Because if it depends on just the person who does that to be responsible for everything, that is not scalable. There's only that many headcounts that can be allocated to it. So take that and across the organization, establish those levels of responsibility. And the last point I'll make, and then I'll leave it to some questions, is having a culture change that is about sharing data. And if you bring data, that sharing is also sharing value and sharing opportunity. And the way I see it is, data will bring insights if it's well analyzed. And my approach is, when you're bringing data, it's 1 + 1 = 3, because whatever insights you are getting from that data, if we share it across the organization, we will definitely have more than what you were getting to, more insights than you could with just your perspective. So that's our approach now, and that we are bringing is, even if the data is not really very well structured, if it's maybe not even 100% correct, even if it's like 90%, bring it in and create that trust, that environment of trust, that it's better to share that data and give it visibility rather than hiding it in each department or sub-department. And then we will get insights from it. We will improve it, and we will work together on that. And it has two advantages. One for the organization, because you get much more insights and you get real data coming in. And second, for that department or individual, because that person becomes crucial in improving the quality of that data. So I think this is, I see very few downsides to coming up with something like this, but I wanted to give you some insights and my experience of what we went through in our journey, which I don't think it'll ever end anytime soon, because for sure there is always more to do, there is more to integrate, and the users are always asking for some change, some new thing, and we also have that obligation to bring them new approaches and new ways of looking at that and to challenge them. Musin, I don't know if there are any questions.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, first of all, for your amazing presentation. Yeah. Thanks a lot. I have a question from Ashish Sharma, Aramex Group. Hi, how much time it took you for this entire journey? Did you face any pushback?
Absolutely. Great question. So from the start, so from 0 to now, it's been 3 years. And since we integrated this platform, it's been 1.5 years to 2 years, and it's still ongoing. And as I said, it's module based. So we started with something basic, just sales and stocks, something simple. That took us about less than 1 year. And then since then, we've been rolling out the other modules, and we've also scaled it by what I mentioned, that it won't be me and my director doing everything. We try to segregate that each of these new modules to the right people, and that way we are controlling it, but we're not doing everything there. So that was the more or less the timelines. Definitely the pushback has been from in the beginning, the pushback from people having the power of having data, because data is power. And if each department, each of these 4 departments was holding the data, then they had that power. So we were taking that away from them. And that pushback was there. And then how do you calculate it? Because then everything is visible, right? If the top management, our CEO for MIA, has access to our platform, then everything becomes visible and people will push back on it. And definitely that the good thing about the pushback is that it helps us on getting good insights, but also having an accurate tool, because it's their insights that help us improve. So that pushback has a good side. It's an opportunity to improve, but definitely the pushback from giving visibility to things that people didn't want to share immediately to a higher level in the organization. But that's part of the change management, and that's why having the support of the senior leaders is so important in this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks a lot. One more question. Yes, one more question from Borzata. You can see the question on the chat area. Are you doing just the descriptive analytics with the business intelligence tool, or did you also start the predictive analytics forecast? And with what tool, if you could share?
Yes, so we started with the analytics only on the actuals. We are now starting on the predictive ones, and we want to have, we are doing that offline on Excel, so we want to integrate that into the platform and hopefully have an algorithm that can give us a forecast, give us a perspective into the future, and then compare it to what the team is giving. And that, I think, will be a next level of predictive analytics, which is, yes, the team is giving us 100, but the system is giving us 80. And that will allow us to be question more what our teams are giving us. But that's still in the works. but we definitely want to implement that. And the platform that we're using, our stack is on Microsoft. So from Azure to Power BI that we're using with our vendor who is using these exclusively.